The Phantom's Lullaby, Voices from the Dark Forest. Chapter 1, A Haunting Melody. The town of Ravenshade had a rule: never enter the Hollowwood Forest after sundown. The villagers whispered tales of a phantom that sang a lullaby, luring the lost into the woods. Those who followed the voice were never seen again. Evelyn Carter, a journalist fascinated by ghost stories, didn't believe in legends. She had spent years debunking urban myths and was determined to prove that Hollowwood stories were just that, stories. One autumn evening, armed with her recorder and flashlight, she stepped past the rotting wooden sign at the forest's edge. "Turn back." The warning was old, its paint faded. Evelyn ignored it. The forest swallowed her whole. Chapter 2, The Whispering Trees. Hollowwood was unnaturally silent. No wind, no birds, only the sound of Evelyn's footsteps on crunching leaves. Then, she heard it. A soft humming, floating through the trees. The melody was hauntingly beautiful, a lullaby. Evelyn turned on her recorder. "This is Evelyn Carter, documenting the Hollowwood Phantom. I can hear singing. It's faint, but definitely real." She followed the sound. The deeper she went, the more distorted the forest became. The trees twisted like skeletal fingers, and the ground felt softer, like it was breathing. But the lullaby never stopped. Chapter 3, The Doll in the Clearing. After what felt like hours, Evelyn found a clearing. In the center stood a wooden cradle, old and splintered, rocking on its own. Inside, wrapped in a decayed blanket, was a porcelain doll. Its glassy blue eyes stared at her, and its lips were slightly parted, as if it had been whispering. A child's voice echoed around her. "Hush now, sleep now, mother will come soon." Evelyn's breath hitched. The lullaby was coming from the doll. She reached out, the doll's eyes moved. Chapter 4, The Phantom Appears. The trees trembled, and the air turned ice-cold. A shadow moved in the mist. From the darkness, a woman emerged. Her face was hidden beneath a tattered black veil, her gown shredded and soaked in something dark. She raised a hand, long, skeletal fingers tipped with broken nails. "You shouldn't have come, child." Evelyn stumbled back, her pulse racing. Who are you?" The woman's voice whispered through the trees. "I sang them to sleep, I kept them safe, but they took my baby, they left me alone in the dark." Evelyn's recorder crackled with static. The lullaby played backward. Then, the phantom lifted her veil. Chapter 5, Eyes of the Forgotten. Where there should have been eyes, there were only dark, hollow sockets. But Evelyn could feel them staring. A wave of nausea hit her as the ground beneath her shifted. She looked down, faces. Dozens of sunken, lifeless faces pressed beneath the soil, their mouths open in silent screams. They didn't listen. The phantom's voice was everywhere. Evelyn turned to run. The trees had moved. The path was gone. She was trapped. Chapter 6, The Choice. The phantom stepped closer, and Evelyn couldn't move. "Stay, or sing with me." The doll in the cradle twitched. Its porcelain lips moved, repeating the lullaby. Evelyn's mind spun. If she stayed, she'd become one of them, a forgotten soul, buried in the forest. With shaking hands, she grabbed her recorder and pressed play. The lullaby echoed back at the phantom. The woman screamed, her voice warping into a shriek. The forest convulsed, the ground splitting open. And then, silence. Evelyn opened her eyes. She was standing outside the forest, her recorder still in her hand. Hollowwood was silent. The path she had taken was gone. The only proof of what happened was the recording in her hand, playing the phantom's lullaby. And in the distance, just beyond the trees, the cradle rocked, on its own. Epilogue: The lullaby never ends. Evelyn published her story, but no one believed her. She tried to destroy the recorder, but every time she did, the lullaby played in her dreams. One night, she woke up to soft humming coming from her living room. The recorder was playing by itself. And on her bedroom mirror, scrawled in foggy letters, "Hush now, sleep now, mother will come soon." Moral of the story: some songs never stop playing, some voices never fade, and some forests never let go.